All right, what's happening, everybody? It's Adam. Welcome back to another review. This time we're going over the iPhone 13. Now, I'm just going to talk about just the iPhone 13, and hopefully I can make this video really short given the fact that the main reason why I'm doing this review is not just for more content and the obvious, but I really think this is the iPhone to get from anybody, even from the 12 models, and they're looking to upgrade and not concerned about upgrading for a couple years, but especially if you're coming from the 11 models of that year and older. I would not even bother with the 10R or the 11s or any other cheaper model. I would just go straight for the iPhone 13, maybe the iPhone 13 mini, but I haven't had my hands on that. And definitely skip the iPhone 13 Pro. There's only maybe 2 or 3 reasons why I would recommend that over this, but it's slight differences that you won't notice over the long run. So already you can tell I'm moving pretty fast with this one, but first thing I do want to go over is design of this new iPhone. Now, the only thing I didn't like was, just going into a straight con, is the new notch size, where they say it's 20% smaller, but because of the way they implemented the speaker grill and just overall look of it, it's more squished in and goes into the frame than it is spread out and minusing the frame, if that made any sense. And I can tell that while watching videos. So they say it's smaller, but it was kind of pointless. I think they just wanted to do some kind of different design change, sort of like what they did with the back of the cameras, where it's at an angle because of the bigger sensors. So there was an actual benefit to that versus it being side by side. Now, Face ID does work incredible compared to last year's models. I mean, in my opinion and in my experience, that weird angle, where you're kind of like, oh, like, I don't know if it's going to get it, kind of went away. I mean, I haven't had any issues where even if it's on my table, on my desk and working from home and whatnot, and I kind of look at it from like this angle, it still would unlock sometimes, which is kind of crazy. But besides that, I would say my favorite thing about the new iPhones, because not much has changed with the design, besides the squared off boxy look, is for sure the colors. And when I looked at every single color, it was the toughest choice I had to make on choosing a color. But I had a black iPhone last year and then the iPhone product red last year. So I said, let me try something different again. I haven't had a blue phone since the iPhone 10R. So with the new design, the only thing that's noticeably different is that notch and the camera angle. But other than that, I like how everything works functionally. The buttons are very tactile and clicky. I mean, it's an iPhone. You know what you're getting if you've already been involved with iPhones. Still has Lightning, etc. I don't even use MagSafe, honestly. I do just fine with Lightning because one of the most amazing benefits of this phone is getting into the battery life. So I know that's probably a little bit more off compared to what other people say in tech reviews, but I'm easily getting 7 hours of on-screen time playing video games, watching YouTube, and this is stuff I do, honestly, being in real estate, where I play video games while I'm making prospecting calls, or I kind of just watch a video in the background while I'm in a conference meeting. If it's something boring that I'm just there for support, to help out with the team or whoever I'm working with. So you can see, as I'll show you here, I get a lot of on-screen battery time before even worrying about charging my phone. So most of the charging is done overnight, and if that's the case for most people, and just looking at my results with not messing around with the brightness or anything, leaving it as it is, I think most people are going to be probably really impressed with the battery life. Now, hold on one second. Let me actually rewind and go back to another design feature I almost skipped on, and that's talking about the display of these new iPhones. So for me, the number one reason why I like that it's OLED, I love the pixel resolution, how color accurate the colors are, if you will, is looking at photos and videos. Photos and videos you take from the camera of this phone, not just on Instagram, etc. And the reason why that's very important is if you're a content creator and you're considering getting this phone, you know what you're getting while you're taking photos and videos with it to the fullest degree compared to older models. If you're thinking about just sticking with the 11, or if you're still on a 10R or something like that, an iPhone 8, etc., the resolution is so crisp that you're going to basically see identical to maybe a high-end display on a laptop or a MacBook, etc., on your phone. So you're not really concerned or questioned about what you're getting. Where I noticed that insecurity with older iPhone models up until the 12 models and then now the 13 models. But since it's the newest one and it's slightly tuned up a bit, and especially with the cameras, when I talk about those have drastic differences in resolution and quality and overall experience with the camera. But that's why I like the display and the new resolution, and the fact that Apple is sticking with OLED is because if you're a content creator, you're getting what you truly are taking photos and videos of. Now, some people are going to say, what about the 120 hertz refresh rate on the 13 Pro versus the 13? It's only something you notice while you're using the phone or if you compare them side by side. But it's not like, especially since this phone has the A15 Bionic, that you're going to notice a difference in functionality and speed of implementation and using apps and actually doing tasks and doing work or using the phone. I mean, sure, if you compare it side by side, you're switching between apps quicker. Yes, you get a higher refresh rate on gaming and stuff like that, but you're not going to get like, computer gaming level graphics on this phone. Sure, gaming was amazing with this, especially since I've been addicted to Call of Duty now more than ever. I just been so that's like the only game I play on my phone. But when I look at that, I go, it doesn't really matter like you think it would, especially for the price that you're paying. Now, if we're talking maybe $100 difference, like if the iPhone 13 Pro is only $100 more, yeah, I would say that's worth the money for that. But if we're talking $300 more or more, that's when I go, it's just not going to make that much of a difference in your life. But what does make a huge difference is the A15 Bionic chip. And the best way I can put it, the processing speed. And what I noticed is simple things like when I was playing Call of Duty and watching a YouTube video in the background, I wanted to test this out and I have YouTube background play. I've experienced no lag, no apps crashing since I've used this phone. And with editing YouTube short videos on iMovie on this phone and uploading that to my desktop computer, or even if I had to airdrop it, or if I had to just upload it directly onto YouTube, anything I did with video content, whether it was long form or short form, I was pretty amazed of how fast and how well it handled the processing upload speeds for that content. Now let's move into the cameras and that new diagonal. No, I'm just kidding. The diagonal is just because of the sensor sizes. It's not like it's a feature or something like that. But the two best things are photographic styles and cinematic mode, which you do get with the iPhone 13 Pro. And if you want to see those photos, I mean, it's the same sensor for the main camera and the wide angle. And not only that, but the only difference you're going to get with the 13 Pro is that telephoto lens. Well, if you get cinematic mode and photographic styles, that's all you really need to notice that big difference and what makes the 13s different from last year's models with the 12. And I gotta say, it actually competes with the Pixel phones as well. With the contrast photographic style filter, it looks just like Pixel phones and in my opinion better. I feel like the color accuracy is better because they don't go too hard on the contrast. You can also edit that though. You can actually use the slider to adjust that as well. So now there's no more excuses of people trying to compare a Pixel phone to an iPhone because iPhones have drastically better video quality in my opinion. It doesn't look like it's on a gimbal and it's moving all weird. So with cinematic mode, basically that's portrait video mode. And I think this is hugely beneficial if you do a lot of vlogging, a lot of Instagram content, maybe you use Zoom a lot. Maybe you just like taking selfies in a snap, but you do a lot of video with that. It is so awesome how you have that portrait mode because you want to kind of stand out a little bit with your content. But at the same time, it's not even just for content creators. It's for anybody where I'll give an example, a real world example of a couple of baristas I know at a local coffee shop, and they saw me with the new iPhone 13, especially noticing the camera and the color and whatnot. And they're like, hey, I have the 11, should I upgrade? One of them actually had an iPhone 8. And I said, the reason why you should upgrade, and I highly recommend it, is not just because it's the newest model, but if you take a lot of photos, this is the phone you whip out, and with full confidence, it's gonna be an 8.5 to 9 out of 10 photo every single time. And the only reason why I say 8.5 is if it's nighttime photography. I think it's the only time smartphones have struggle and weakness is because the sensor is so dang small. I mean, it's not going to be like an A7C. So with that said, that's the only reason why. But otherwise, it's pretty much a 9 out of 10 every single time with video especially, but even with stills, thanks to photographic styles, that's probably the biggest reason why it separates it from all the other Android phones and all the other iPhones on the market. So that's the best way I can put it. It's a 9 out of 10 camera. So the big question is, should you get the 13 over the 13 mini and the 13 Pro? Well, let me give some context to that. I would say you should get it over both of them. Number one, because when it comes to the iPhone 13 Pro, the biggest differences were the telephoto lens, the 120 hertz refresh rate, and the slightly bigger battery life. The design is an obvious thing, but even with the design of the stainless steel bands and everything, it just felt like too much of a phone. Like it felt like I couldn't rough it up or use it for content creation, or God forbid I drop it. That's what it made me feel like. I had a little bit anxiety with the phone. It was just a little too much. And with the price that you're paying, if you lost that phone, it just, there was so much at risk with it for what I use my phones for. And that's the second example. Although I haven't had the iPhone 13 mini yet, I haven't been concerned or bothering with it because I've had the iPhone 12 mini since release. And I said that's so funny, but the time period I've had that phone, I've only used it predominantly for hikes and for quick photos or as a secondary phone. I can't think of one time period besides the first couple months where I was like, yeah, this is my daily driver, is the iPhone 12 mini. I took it on hikes because it was easier to carry, and it was an amazing camera for quick snapshots or quick video, or even just navigation synced to my Apple Watch. So it was just kind of a secondary phone, and that's all I used it for, was going on a bike ride or going on hikes, outdoor stuff. It was just easy to carry for that reason. But I can't recommend that phone now at this point for work or content creation or editing videos and whatnot. The screen is just too small. So with those two examples, that's why I would say the iPhone 13 is the absolute best iPhone to get to this day. So I really love this thing, and the color is just awesome. The colors are the best. I think the second favorite color I love the most is definitely Starlight. I haven't had an all white iPhone in a very long time, and that's definitely got to be the next color I get next year if they come out with the white one again, which I'm sure they will. Anyhow, let's wrap up the review. Thanks for watching. I truly hope this was helpful. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see y'all on the next one.